Welcome to this week's episode of the Lido Loop, where we talk about cruising, theme parks, and all things related to travel. I'm your host, Jack McCraw. With me, as always, my good friend, Jesse Barboza. And hey, did you see that Six Flags Fiesta Texas completed their agreement to color their park blue and orange? What do you think about that, Jesse?
We looked at the video. It seems like it's more red and blue. What do you think?
I thought the same thing too. The park president had an orange shirt on, and that was orange, but it had the Iron Rattler logo. But it looked as if they had, red, white, and blue on their quarry wall, and not just red, blue, and orange. Maybe they're trying to say like, "Hey, it's blue and orange for you," and hope that Six Flags Great Adventure wouldn't notice. And of course, they donated their $500 check to Project Purple. Now, is that a very Six Flags thing to do? Just donate $500 to a charity? I mean, it's a donation, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, they didn't have to do anything, but I mean, $500 for a multi-million-dollar corporation, it's like a couple pennies.
Yeah, and of course, with Six Flags owning both these parks, they're probably just Six Flags giving money to themselves. But also, Jesse, we're recording on Father's Day, and this episode will come out the day after, so happy Father's Day to you. Did you do anything fun with the kids?
I pretty much was at the softball park all weekend. But hey, I know all fathers would like a 7-day cruise to the Bahamas. What do you think?
Absolutely. And speaking of cruises, what's the latest and greatest in the cruise world?
Yeah, so Carnival rolls out a kids and teen drink package, and we're going to talk about fights on cruise ships and also what the cruise lines are doing for 4th of July.
And also in the theme park side of things, we're going to talk about what other theme parks are doing in preparation for the 4th of July. We're going to talk about Epic Universe filing new expansion permits and what that could mean for the future of that park. We're also going to break down the latest news coming out of the Universal Kids Resort in Frisco, Texas, and the not so good news as far as first looks go for that park. And of course, Six Flags Over Texas has finally announced an opening date for the record-breaking Tormenta Rampaging Run roller coaster. That, and then we continue our series where we talk about cruise frequently asked questions and guest listener questions as well. That and much more on this week's episode of The Lido Loop. So kicking off the show, we always like to start with the cruise news. And Jesse, I hear that Carnival is unveiling a drink package that's specifically made for kids and teens, in addition to other kind of value packages. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this new kids and teen value package comes with bottomless bubbles. It comes with a souvenir cup that's supposed to be delivered to your stateroom. The social Wi-Fi plan, which is the lowest, is just enough to get to like Facebook or Snapchat, whatever. Comes with 1,000 tokens, which is a $200 value in tokens. 50% off bulk candy and a free lanyard that will be also delivered to your stateroom. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's a good value, Jack?
So it also says it's going to be $25 per person per night. So I don't know. It depends on if your kid really wants to go to the arcade. I would say that, yeah, it is a good value because that's $200 that you otherwise would have spent that you're spending on this. In addition, the kid can have Wi-Fi and, of course, bottomless soda. So I would say overall, if your kid needs soda, wants to go to the arcade, and needs Wi-Fi, I mean, it's a pretty good package overall. If you go on a 7-day cruise, 25 times 7, that's, $175 that you're spending versus, buying everything a la carte, which might have been a little bit more expensive, especially when you consider the arcade. And hey, even some adults might even like this because I don't see anything here that says that it's only for kids, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does say kids and teen value package, but I'm not sure if you go to purchase it and if it goes in your cart, if it will actually only go to your kids and teens, like anyone under 18 or actually it seemed like it should be under 21, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess we can try it out and see.
Yeah, I mean, what's to stop us? I guess maybe because we put our age in Carnival, maybe that option won't be available, but we wouldn't know until we're actually booking. But, perfect person I thought to use this would be your mom. She doesn't drink alcohol, and especially if she brings her husband, they're definitely going to spend a lot of time at the arcade.
Yeah. Like I said, they both don't drink at all. They do play in the arcade a lot, and I'm sure they'll like the free candy, a free souvenir cup, because they get souvenirs everywhere they go, right?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, they get photos of any sort of place that they go to. Imagine the carnival, the wall of photos that you walk by on deck five. They're gonna get every single one of them.
So, looking at there's actually a couple other packages that some of y'all might not know. There's a ultimate value package. This is going to be $90 per person, but this one includes the Cheers, which is the unlimited alcohol, or 15 drinks. Premium Wi-Fi. It also has a 50% discount on short excursions, a 25% discount on specialty dining, 50% off spa treatments. That seems pretty good. 50% off photo packages and dream studios, which I think the photos are rip-offs. That's a story from another day, though. Uh, there's also a essential value package, which is $50 per person, which is the Cheers Zero Proof, value Wi-Fi plan, 55 $50 discount on short excursions, and 25 discount on specialty dining. I One thing though, the Zero Proof, you cannot, you have to be. I don't know why this is on Carnival, but even though it's like a virgin drink or with zero proof, which means no alcohol in it, kids still are allowed to purchase that. I know, like on MSC, they can get it all the time as long as it doesn't have alcohol. I don't know why Carnival doesn't allow that.
Do you think it could be some sort of legal reason as to that? Maybe the kids, because I was thinking that maybe because they're in the bar area that they can't be over there. But I mean, you've gotten specialty coffees with your, drink package. Would that be under the quote zero proof?
That actually is under the zero proof package. Yes.
And that's not in the bars, so that's just at the coffee shop.
Well, they do offer it at bars too, but they also at the coffee shop. But the coffee shop, you can get like shots of like Bailey's creamer if you want. But the only thing that really makes me mad about the Carnival, all the drink packages, is that the bottomless bubbles doesn't include bottled water. It seems like that would be simple, like to include bottled water. But if you want water, you have to either get the Cheers package, or you have to just get a little
like tap water from the bar.
Yeah, not necessarily tap water, but yeah. I mean, they do have multiple stations throughout the ship that you can refill your a Stanley or whatever you carry around, or you get little yellow cups which hold like a couple tablespoons of water.
And that you find all over the ship. Oh man, you just kind of brought back some PTSD on that one. But yeah, I think some of these packages could be a decent value. I mean, the $90 one, by the way, it's per person per day.
Yeah, that's so it definitely get it up there. I think we did the math. The $90 one for our next cruise, which is an 8-day, it was like $720 just for one person, and you have to get everyone on board. So
you better be using that Wi-Fi if you're going to spend an extra $720 times 4.
Yeah. So this next cruise we just got the Cheers package for me and my wife, and then we did get the bottomless bubbles package for the kids.
I mean, it will go a long way, because even if on Carnival especially, you're allowed to bring 12 pack of sodas, but if you're going on an 8-day cruise, you gotta find a way to ration it. I mean, I've on the 5-day cruise that we went on a while back, me and Maddie, who we'll talk about later in the show, each brought a 12 pack, and we didn't even end up finishing it. So I think the longer cruise stays, like, it's definitely worth it to get the bottomless bubbles, in my opinion, especially because the lemonade is okay, and the sweet tea, it's well, first off, I shouldn't call it sweet tea. The tea,
that is
Carnival, it's the worst tea you've ever had.
Yeah, I think I cannot say enough how bad their tea is. It seemed like they would know, like no one drinks this tea. I wonder why.
I mean, do they not know? We're Texans here. Just pour like as many packets of sugar in there as possible, and then make that tea that much better. I want to taste the sugar, cubes when I'm drinking iced tea, and of course, Carnival doesn't do that. Yeah, I think these are some good value packages. Of course, I would say, like, me personally, I might go with I would go with more the Essentials value package, where the value Wi-Fi is pretty good, and then I would say that I would be more inclined to do a shore excursion if I do get a $50 discount. But of course, depending on what excursion you do, it could be $50 off, $400 or $500.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I know we don't necessarily like to talk about the negative side of cruising or theme parks or vacations for that matter. But Jesse, what's up with all these fights that are going on cruise ships?
I don't know. Maybe it's just the time of the year. It seems like every couple of months, uh, we always hear about a bunch of fights. The latest one we saw, we actually were just looking up in Nassau, where a bunch of people were fighting, and after they got arrested, they went to the police station. They started fighting again. They broke a bunch of windows and stuff in the police station. They were arrested and they were going to jail or pay. I think it was like $54,000 per person.
I would rather go to jail than pay 54,000. Depends on how long in jail, but
And plus, you don't know how bad these prisons are in a different country, right?
oh yeah, I didn't even consider that. At least Bahamas, you would think is like somewhat Americanized. So I don't know how the prison system would be, but uh, the fact that it escalated to that point where you fought and then fought again at the police station. I mean, we don't know the whole story as to behind the why it happened, but I mean, fighting on cruises is nothing new. I mean, we haven't seen any kind of altercations when we've been on, but we've seen people, like get escorted out by security. It happened when we were at a dodgeball game. There's a kid that wouldn't get off the court, so security had to come get him. And crews have that security for that reason to try to keep everyone safe and mitigate as much, physical altercations as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, out of all places, why are you going to fight on a cruise ship? Like what?
People fight on vacations. That's just American. That's an anyone thing to do.
Yeah, so this kind of begs the question: should there be a no sell list, kind of like a no fly list? What do you think?
I would say yes, especially if you're a repeat offender. I mean, it could be circumstantial as to why the altercation happened. So let's say, two people get in an altercation, one person is the victim, one person is the abuser. Abuser should be banned. The victim shouldn't be, but if there's a trail of like, constant, domestic abuse on a cruise ship, I would say, yeah, eventually they could be put on a no sail list. Now, airports regulate the no-fly list through TSA because no matter what airline you fly, you go through the same TSA at airports. Different terminals maybe, but TSA is all one government-owned entity. Now, Carnival, you do have to go through immigrations and customs. So if you're put on a list for that, then potentially you could be put on a no-sail list.
Why do you particularly say Carnival though?
Actually, that's funny you say that because this particular fight did not happen on Carnival, but we kind of associate Carnival as the fun cruise. So you could we've seen fights on Carnival before online, so it's not surprised that they're one of them. But in this particular case, it was Royal Caribbean.
But it seems like all cruise lines they should definitely come up with a no sell list because honestly, if these people are causing trouble on Carnival, do you think Royal Caribbean's going to want them on board?
No, if anything, it's probably going to be the same thing happening, or in NCL or MSC or really any kind of cruise line. Heck, even a Virgin cruise line or Margaritaville cruise line. Actually, Margaritaville might take them because they just need people on their ships.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Margaritaville, we love you and we want a free cruise. But in all seriousness, I know there already is a way for people to be banned from cruise lines for fighting or breaking any sort of rules on a cruise line by cruise line basis. Now, nothing's stopping them from booking a different cruise line and just going, under they would have to get their government ID, so they couldn't go under a different name. But if there's a way to have all these cruise lines connected, they could better enforce that lifetime ban for sailing. But on a happier note, there are cruise lines preparing for the 4th of July, Jesse. So what cruise lines are doing what for the upcoming 4th of July holiday?
Yeah, this is, of course, definitely a special 4th of July. It's a 250-year anniversary. When doing the research for this, there weren't really big cruise lines other than one, and that was definitely Carnival. Because Carnival, they're actually going to have a 7 cruise ship sailings from the East Coast ports. They will meet near Celebration Key in the Grand Bahamas for a special 4th of July event. What do you think? That's going to. I bet the video of this. They got to have drones out there, and they're supposed to do like a fireworks show. That's got to be amazing.
No, they're staying on the boat. They're not all getting off port to go watch the show. Correct?
No, they're supposed to just be like a meetup, and I'm sure there's probably going to have like fireworks on Celebration Key or something, and the ships are around, around the private destination. Uh,
That sounds like a really cool carnival thing to do. Just hey, all the ships go over to Celebration Key and watch the fireworks show, just like you would at a Disney park. So, yeah, that's something that guests can experience. And I mean, I kind of worry about crowding unless they're kind of angled to on the side to where you can view it that way to have more people be able to experience it instead of everyone crowding like at the front of the nose of the ship. But I would say that that's a really unique idea, especially considering having 7 ships full of thousands of people watch the same fireworks show. And it's nice that Carnival is, going the extra mile to, make this guest experience well, especially during the 4th of July weekend.
yeah, so the 7 ships are actually going to be Carnival Celebration, Carnival Conquest, Carnival Elation, Carnival Glory, Carnival Sunrise, Carnival and Carnival Vista. Um, I've been on a couple of these, but not all of them. I definitely, like I said, I can't say enough, but it's just got to be a big sight to see all these ships near each other, fireworks going off. But they also are doing other stuff there's going to be 3 Carnival ships on the West Coast that will gather off San Diego to watch, the Big Bay Boom fireworks show. There's also going to be fleet-wide celebrations to include patriotic deck parties, themed food and drinks, games, trivia line, youth activities, Independence Day themed entertainment. Carnival's also promoting a special America's 250th birthday sailings under the Sea the Shining Sea campaign, which is that new crest that they're putting on all the ships. And other cruise lines, like they're just doing like normal, like I guess Independence Day stuff like trivia, and they might have a couple fireworks on them. One that I was surprised was not in it was Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, you would think that they're one of, if not the most popular, cruise line in America. That why wouldn't they want to be celebrating, 4th of July? Are you implying that Norwegian Cruise Line and MSC, the European-owned cruise line, they're doing a little bit more for 4th of July than Royal Caribbean?
I mean, yeah, they're the only ones who hasn't released anything like what they're gonna do. So it begs the question: does Royal Caribbean like America?
I don't know. I think they're worried about cleaning up all those fights, on their ships and at their ports instead of like worrying about what's going to happen on 4th of July. Maybe they just haven't announced it yet. Maybe they'll announce it later, closer to the date. But you would think that they would do something.
Being 2 weeks out from 4th of July, it seems like they would plan something. Unlike Carnival right now, if you go to the bookings, it actually has a day blocked out. Says Carnival meetup. It talks about the ships. That's like one of your days at sea. Which is pretty cool.
I mean, especially if you have a day at sea and you're not going to a port, I think that makes it even better. Just simply for the fact that you're on the boat anyway. You can't really go anywhere. It's nice that they give you something to look forward to other than dining or a show or the casino that's on the ship.
Yeah. And well, talk about 4th of July. What are theme parks doing, Jack?
So most Six Flags and SeaWorld's parks, over the summer have some sort of fireworks show, and most of them are just going to do the same thing with just a little bit more American symbolism because it is the 250th anniversary. So Six Flags is also going to have some sort of limited edition foods. SeaWorld parks, they're announcing discounted tickets and free admission for active duty military and veterans during the 4th of July weekend. Now, they do this already, but it's just another way in case, you are active duty or a veteran. If you want to go to a SeaWorld park, gives you one more opportunity to do so. The main theme park that's celebrating, America, and Disney would be proud, is, of course, the Walt Disney World. So they have extended hours with themed fireworks and patriotic entertainment. So Magic Kingdom, for example, they're going to have the Celebrate America 4th of July concert in the sky. It's going to run on June 3rd and June 4th, featuring a 360-degree firework display over Cinderella Castle in red, white, and blue, along with DJ dance parties throughout the park. And Epcot, of course, has Luminous Symphony of Us, followed by a July 4th only Heartbeat of Freedom finale. So, and of course, Mickey, Goofy, and other characters are going to be in their patriotic attire through the American Adventure Pavilion. So it's nice that Disney is, doing something to celebrate America's 250th birthday, because back in when they had the 200th anniversary in 1976, which that's crazy, that's how long ago that was, but they pulled out all the stops. So it's not as much as they were doing in the past, but it's still nice that they're doing something patriotic, considering Disney's love for America when he was, building the parks.
There's one park that I actually did not hear you mention. Was it Universal?
Yes, as of right now, Universal is pulling the Royal Caribbean route and just hasn't announced anything. Now, they have announced a new fireworks show at Epic Universe and adding a nighttime show there, but there's nothing to indicate that it's going to be any sort of like patriotism or symbolic of the 4th of July. But speaking of Epic Universe, they are now teasing expansion there as 3 new permits have been filed. So for those of you that don't know, Epic Universe has 4 lands, and that's of course Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, Dark Universe, so monsters like Frankenstein, the Werewolf, Mummy, and Creature from the Black Lagoon, amongst others. Dracula, don't know if to mention him, but yes, him. And then of course the Harry Potter world. So there are permits to build a new Harry Potter attraction in the Wizarding World, Harry Potter at Epic Universe, a new potential dark ride over at Dark Monsters Universe, and then there's a big plot of land in between Super Nintendo World and Celestial Park that could be either a mini expansion land or a brand new attraction. Now, is there something in particular you're hoping to see in that new land? And I think they're actually going to be building some new dark rides, in which we've talked about in the past. This park desperately needs it because when it rains, everything shuts down.
Yeah, like I said, I could definitely see like a Pokemon themed, or I don't know. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but like a Zelda theme, it would definitely match the Super Nintendo world. So it's not focused so on like Mario like it is right now.
Correct. And yes, there is another land there that's themed to Donkey Kong, but like that's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, I would think that a Legend of Zelda world, especially with the popularity of that video game, would work well in that Super Nintendo world. And kind of or like we were saying, Epic Universe needs more to do because there's only 11 rides, and only 3 of them are indoors. So Mario Kart ride, the Dark Monsters ride, and of course a Harry Potter ride. So it's good to see that Universal is listening to its fans, and we're giving them the feedback they need to expand this park, because this park was built with expansion in mind. So having the opportunity to already be in the process of expanding on a brand new park and just keep people coming back is definitely worthwhile. But they should have listened to us when it comes to building their other new park in Frisco, Texas. Now, Jesse, you and I have seen the initial videos of the park, especially the Shrek ride. What did you think of that Shrek ride that they were building at the Universal Park in Frisco, Texas?
How I would explain exactly how I saw the comments. One of the comments actually said, "I didn't know Universal making a Timu ride."
Yeah, I mean so if you missed it earlier this week, they were having media previews of Universal Kids in Frisco, Texas. So there's a hotel that's there. The hotel's actually really nice. I'll give it that. It definitely looks like a kid-friendly hotel. There's bunk beds, and then everything has like sticker art of the character. It looks a lot, if this dates us a little bit, of the Nickelodeon hotel that they used to have in Orlando back 20 years ago. So yes, this park was built with kids in mind, but it looks very bare bones. The SpongeBob land might be the quote most theme land, and they have cardboard cutouts of the characters. They have, a splash pad that looks like I wouldn't even say a Six Flags level attraction. It looks like something you would see in like a zoo that happens to have a SpongeBob, theming to it.
Yeah, I mean, and it took them 3 years to come up with something like this. I'm actually like very like disappointed in what I saw in Universal. This does not seem like a Universal park at all. Other than the characters, and you see that, you would think that this was like a pop up carnival that you would get, for a 4th of July celebration or something like that.
I would say that Six Flags has shown better theming. Now, kind of circling back to the Shrek ride, where we saw there's 5 cardboard cutouts of Shrek characters, and it tells a story of Shrek where he goes to rescue Fiona, fights a dragon, she turns into an ogre, they get married. It looks so cheap that Six Flags Over Texas has like an antique taxi ride with actual animatronic dinosaurs that's more immersive than the Shrek ride that's owned by Universal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you heard in the video. Was there any like voice that was going on while you done?
Yeah, there was a little bit of audio, so you hear the story progress. But I mean, kids are not going to find this entertaining. There's 5 cardboard cutouts, and these kids will be on their iPads watching on this ride.
It looked like it just like kind of went in a circle for the most part, like, but it didn't seem like there was any big hills or anything like that. I mean, I know it's the kids and all that, but you gotta have at least one little small hill or something, right?
I mean, even Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney has a drop. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a quote kids ride, but I mean, families can enjoy it. This park was definitely built for kids in mind, but there's not much for adults to do here. I don't even know if they serve alcohol, which they probably shouldn't at a kids park.
Yeah, and like I said, another thing we noticed too, I think we talked about in a few the past episodes, there's not a lot of shade. I mean, I know as a parent, I would want there to be a lot of shade so that my kids aren't burning up, or I'm not burning up while I'm waiting in line for these attractions.
Oh, see, that's when you have to go back to the hotel to cool off, then come back. See, that's where they get you there.
Yeah, that you caught them. That's exactly what they plan on doing.
I mean, the one thing I've seen about the cooling aspect, there are a lot of water rides. So, I mean, the one thing I will say that was kind of impressive was the river raft ride that's themed to, I think it's Minions versus Minions. So you have the yellow Minions fighting the purple Minions, and it looks like a pretty decent, raft ride that you would see at any other, theme park. I would say, but if that's your anchor attraction, that's I don't think that that's worth the $50 admission, in my opinion. What would you agree with that?
Definitely not. Definitely not. This, like I said, I'm hoping that maybe that this is just like, hey, a April Fool's Day joke, that comes in July, but how it looks like it, I don't know. I think they're just trying to show off a park that no one thought was good.
I mean, if this is certainly Universal's test to get into the Texas market, they should have just done an actual theme park. I mean, if they put any sort of immersion like they do at the Florida or Hollywood parks into Texas, or even made this not so focused on young kids. And I understand, I'm an adult and I have no kids, so I'm not exactly first in line to run to go to this, but I feel like with Universal, how their other parks look, they could have made it look significantly better, or maybe their budget was just that small that that's all the best that they could do.
Yeah, yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. But in other news, so Six Flags over Texas, they have announced the opening date for Tormenta Rampage Run. Is that correct?
Yes, it's going to be this upcoming Friday, June 26th. So we've been following Tormenta's progress since the start of this channel. And I was up in, Arlington over the weekend, so I got some photos and I put on the Facebook page. But the record-breaking coaster is going to have it's going to be the tallest dive coaster at 309 feet, the fastest dive coaster at 87 miles an hour, the longest dive coaster at 4,199 feet, have the highest 95 beyond vertical drop at 285 feet, tallest Immelman version 218 feet, and tallest vertical loop. So it's going to break a record, 6 records. And, it definitely changed the skyline of Six Flags over Texas, where you just see this behemoth of a roller coaster now. So I love dive coasters. When we went to Busch Gardens, unfortunately, SheiKra was closed, so I didn't get you didn't get a chance to see that. But you've rode Doctor Diabolical at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and you would say that's a pretty good roller coaster, correct?
Oh yeah, I think that was definitely probably the third best coaster at that park. I mean, you got to go with Iron Rattler the best.
Oh, of course. I think at Six Flags over Texas, this would probably be in their top 4. Because I would say New Texas Giant, Titan, Mr. Freeze is probably their top 3, and you can change the order up, but that's the order I would go in. Tormenta, I mean, with being the tallest dive coaster, it's certainly going to be 4, and I think I could increase it. Now, the big question, are you finally going to give Six Flags over Texas a chance, Mr. I Love Fiesta Texas?
I definitely will with this new one. We're actually planning on going somewhere this summer. By the end of summer before my kids start school. So this is definitely one of them that we're looking at going to.
Hey, the Astros play the Rangers in July. Maybe you can do what I normally do, make it a Six Flags and baseball trip after all. And switching over to now our main topic, which we're continuing on the frequently asked cruise questions. And of course, we got to start with the Maddie question, Jesse. Now she writes, "Dear Lido Loop," and of course she wrote it by hand, with a stamp and everything. How nice of her. "I am trying to fast spin on slot machines and it's not working. Do you have any other tips and tricks as far as to making the slot machines work?" Now, I think you have a good response to this, don't you, Jesse?
Yes, first you have to hit the 15 drink limit, and then it doesn't matter if you lose or win. You
Because you're having fun because you've had 15
you will
drinks.
become a winner because you have 15 drinks.
You know, it's funny because after you hit the 15 drink limit, you know, there's guys that are dressed in all black. They're going to, you know, take you to your room to celebrate. That's so crazy.
They may lock your doors too.
And that's how fights happen, guys. So, you know, watch out for that drink limit. Now, how do you feel about fast spinners?
Fast spinners, man. That's we kind of talked about this earlier, but that's like going to, a lottery machine or a gas station, getting the scratch off tickets and then just scratching the bottom and scanning it to see if that's no fun in that.
No, there's not. It's like you want to see instantly if you won or not. But I don't know. Enjoy the game. I've worked in a place that did sell lottery tickets before, where that's all I saw people do was just spend their money, scan. Oh, hey, I won! Yay! And these people don't even like to celebrate. It's like they're expecting to lose money with these things. And I guess the same could be said about a casino. I mean, fast spin, it's fun if you see it on a YouTube video. It's like hurry up and get to the win. But I mean, if you're sitting there enjoying it, I like seeing the numbers come down and the pictures and the sound effects.
Yeah.
Some people just gamble too much and they don't want all the bells and whistles that come with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mainly play just to hear the buffalo sound.
Just like that. Now, we did have some questions. Our favorite listener, Jen, has asked 2 different questions. And Jesse, go ahead and ask the cruise question, and then I'll go ahead and ask the theme park one.
Yeah, so what's your response to someone who's afraid to cruise because they've seen stories about ships sinking, fires, or the famous poop cruise incident?
Now, as a poop cruise survivor myself,
not a poop cruise survivor.
I was on the ship a year before it happened.
So basically the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was there with you guys. Share trauma. The easiest way to answer that question would be no matter where you go, you do kind of put yourself in somewhat of a situation that could be bad. Now, cruises, I would say cruises are safer than like most theme parks nowadays, honestly, because your guest safety is their number one priority. Number one, they don't want a lawsuit. They don't want to spend millions of dollars, especially if something really bad happens. So keep that in mind, but also cruises are there to make sure that you have the best experience possible and that you're taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, we don't know the exact percentage, but I'm sure it's less than 1% chance that anything bad would happen to this detail on a cruise ship. Like, yeah, the whole poop cruise incident was horrible, and I would hate to have been on that ship at that time, especially after watching the video on on Netflix.
That's a really good documentary. I definitely recommend you guys checking it out.
Yeah, because I didn't realize like one of the funny things that actually happened on it was like they thought that one day they're like, let's try and make everyone happy while they're going through this, and let's open the bar up for free. And it just people started getting drunk and throwing stuff off the ship.
I mean, that's how you celebrate when you're just stranded in the middle of the seas. And it wasn't the ship that didn't have any power, so these people it was 100 plus degrees in their room, so they had to go outside in the sun and bake because it was just cooler there than it was in their. They were bringing mattresses out.
Yeah, and they made like a tent city up there and all that. But hey, I mean, I guarantee you first off, that would never happen today. I honestly believe it wouldn't. But I'm sure at that same time they said the same thing, right?
I mean, they said the same thing about the Titanic too, but that was back in like 1912.
And they said that was unsinkable. So,
I mean, yes, cruises I would say are very safe, and I think your chances of something bad happening because of the cruise's fault is almost slim to none.
And it seems like all the people who I talk about cruising with, because I literally talk about cruising with everybody, they always bring the same stuff up like this, like, oh, what about a poop cruise? I was like, man, like these people must live their life thinking that every single day you go, something bad's gonna happen to them. Like just enjoy your life. Yes, there are going to be tragedies in life no matter where you're at, whether you're at home, where you're, at the store, or you're on vacation. I mean, there's so many incidents that happens on vacation. Like I just saw in the Dominican Republic, a whole resort just caught on fire, just have fun in life. Like, you don't live once, and just have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think could be fear with really anything you do. For someone who's never been on a cruise, I would say experience it once. If you're really scared, I would say even go on a shorter cruise. it's kind of, someone who's afraid of flying, I would recommend going on a shorter flight. Just, get that fear out of the way, and then, progressively go on, longer cruises and longer flights in both aspects. Jen also asked about theme parks. So this one kind of has to do with a little bit what we were talking about previously, where rides were breaking down. She asked if a guest is concerned about riding a roller coaster because they have had a previous incident or mechanical issue, who should they talk to at the park? And then she goes on to ask, can employees explain what happened and how the park makes sure the rides are safe before it reopens? Now, I'll answer the second question first. I don't know if employees can explain everything because there might be a, cease and desist that the park has said that, hey, let's not talk about the previous issues. But I mean, it's a good question to ask. I know New Texas Giant, there was a fatality on it 13 years ago, but that has operated since with, no problem. Now, I'm sure employees don't like talking about it, but yeah, it is the reality of the nature is that you do, similar to a cruise, anytime you get on a roller coaster, you do have that risk. And, if you are scared to ride rides with a history, the best advice I would say is just don't ride them. If you're uncomfortable, don't do it.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to kind of even the cruising related. What's the chances of something happen? How many times have that coaster, gone up or, gone through the whole complete ride without any incidents? 99.9% of the times, I guarantee. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, you can even have like theme parks like Fiesta Texas that have a spotless record. Maybe there was a guest injury, but no fatalities ever occurred. And the older parks, they're going to have a little bit more of a history. I mean, with let's take, for example, the Iron Shark incident that happened over here in Galveston. I've been on that coaster for years, and it's a crazy what happened with those people. And, I don't think it's open to this day, but these roller coasters do go through these tests, and they have these safety features in place. So no one gets hurt. Now, if you get stuck, that means there are safety features working. It's just a pain to get them down. And, it's sad to see that happen just because it's a very big inconvenience, but at least the guests are safe.
Yeah, exactly. You'd rather them get stuck than fall off or something break down so that someone gets injured.
And so to kind of answer the last question of like, who should they talk to at the park in regards to any kind of issues, guest services, or even the ride operator. I mean, sometimes it could be a teenager that says, oh, it's fine, dude. But I would say if you have any concerns about the ride, just talk to the guest services and they'll answer the questions as best they can.
Or you can be directed to like some type of the manager of the park. I'm sure their number one priority, like you said, just like on cruises, is guest safety. Am I correct?
Yeah, because theme parks and cruises are both here to make guests happy. They don't want to see injuries. They don't want to see people get hurt. Their guest safety is the number one priority in any sort of, cruising and theme park entertainment. And let's go ahead and transition back over to cruise frequently asked questions. Now, last week we answered a couple questions, including, travel insurance, travel documents. So we're going to continue that series. And a good question I found is, how can I find out where the theme nights are on my cruise? Now, you and I kind of talked about a little bit with the 4th of July and, how they have the 4th of July celebration.
Yeah.
Would you say that there is a 4th of July themed dinner too for those type of cruises?
There's not. I doubt there's going to be a dinner. I mean, if it is, it's probably going to be hot dogs and hamburgers, or something.
I mean, that's very American right there.
But so the theme nights. So cruise lines actually, for most part, are not really big on. I don't know why. All from Royal, MSC, Carnival is probably the worst about explaining what the theme nights are for that cruise. The way I was able to figure it out the best was to first get on all the Facebook group. I think we mentioned last week or a couple weeks ago about getting on the Facebook group for that individual selling. And there's every single time there's a people ask, hey, is there a white night? Is there 80s night? Is there, I can't even think of other nights, but
yeah, because like when we went on the Glory, there was an 80s party, and it was like during Halloween time. There was like a whole costume party, and none of us thought to bring a costume on the ship.
I mean, first of all, I didn't want to bring one on the plane, so we're backpack. We like to backpack trips.
Yeah. I literally wore a Cowboys polo, and I said, "Oh, I'm a sad fan." So I mean, if they bought it.
Yeah, honestly, but you can also actually, a lot of people don't realize this. You can actually call Carnival itself and ask, "Hey, I'm on this cruise. What are my theme nights?" And they will actually break it down exactly what's going to happen on your cruise.
So correct me if I'm wrong. They do announce when the dress up night is, like fancy night. No.
No, they don't. Usually, typically, I know because I've been on so many cruises. It's always like this, like on long sailings, it's always going to be your second day. Then I think it's like your fifth or sixth day on a cruise, depending on how long your sailing is. Like this 8 day is going to be the second, and then it's the sixth day of the cruise.
So, kind of transitioning to that next question, I know I'm kind of skipping ahead. Do you have to dress up for formal nights? Now, we've seen people in their finest suits, but also people walking in wearing swim shorts. So, I would say no, you don't necessarily have to, but I think it'd be encouraged to do so. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, me, I don't really go too fancy. Usually I just wear like a button-up shirt and shorts. And I know some people like the NCL commercial said, flippy floppies. They like to wear their flippy floppies, which was funny because NCL, they first said they came out that commercial. Then we talked about them making it more strict in the dining room while they still had that same commercial out, and then they flip flop again.
They flippy floppied again.
They flippy floppy again. Yeah, flip floppy again, and they pretty much kind of said, hey. They kind of, most of the cruise lines, they're not really going to tell you, like force you to, goes by any standard. There's actually a TikToker I saw, they actually wore their nightgown, like their robe, to the dining room just to see if anyone said anything, and no one said anything. Like, me personally, they says no ball caps. I always wear my ball cap because I don't like people seeing my bald head.
Yeah, it becomes a solar flare, especially when the sun shines in.
It's a occupational hazard. So.
Yes, I would say that it's encouraged. I mean, you don't have to necessarily. Like you kind of said earlier, I wore a polo. Like my first couple cruises, I did bring a whole suit just because I wanted the whole aspect of it. Then going to the casino with the suit on, it makes me feel like a little bit more of a high roller.
So here's a question: why do you think they have formal night on cruise ships, Jack? I know the answer. Let me see if you know.
Okay. So my understanding is that that's just how it was in olden times. Like I think because cruises were a little bit nicer, you were supposed to dress up in the attire, kind of like in planes, like in the 50s. You wore a suit and tie on a plane because it was a luxury. Would you agree?
Actually, well, up to a point, I guess I kind of agree. But what is something that they do only on that night they go really big on when you dress up?
Is there a certain show, or am I missing it?
Photographers.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
And so they take all these pictures. Guess who's going? They see all you dress nice and all that. Who's going to want? They're going to try to sell these pictures, right?
So it's a marketing gimmick.
It's a marketing gimmick. That's all it is. They really don't care, but so they just want you to take pictures and they want to buy it. And we can kind of talk about that later. But how wasteful that is just buying the pictures on any cruise. We never buy any pictures, by the way.
No, there was a photo I think of me and my family like that we did in like 2011. But since I've been an adult, we've never gotten photos before.
Yeah, especially since your phone has as good, if not better, camera than the ones they have.
And honestly, if you ask the waiters, they'll take a photo of you, and then you could just save it, and you could put it on your wall. You could do whatever you want with that photo as well.
And actually, even the theme, like where you dress up, a lot of them will allow you to just take a picture right then and there with them. They'll probably take it for you. They really don't care. That's just their job to take pictures.
I mean, some people just have a little bit more of a, spending habit than we do, Jesse. So that's probably why we don't buy the photos. Same thing that people that do prepay for gratuities. Now, you and I do both prepay for gratuities, but is it better to prepay gratuities overall or pay certain people you interact with, like your housekeepers and bartenders and waitstaff?
So prepaying gratuities, you don't actually have to prepay your gratuities. You can actually pay all of them at the end. They'll automatically add it to your bill. But me personally, I like to first prepay the gratuities going in, especially if I got a cruise booked out like 6 to a year out. I like to prepay because on Carnival at least, you can break down all your payments into smaller increments. So, when you got like this next cruise, it's like $512 for an 8-day for the family of 4. It breaks it all down within like all the months, so it seems a lot smaller. And second of all, so paying like the people you interact with isn't really a good idea. Yes, it's good to show appreciation, but there's so many people involved that you don't see. You know what I mean? Like there's people cooking your food that you don't see, that you're not giving any money to them, or the people that are in the back were washing all your clothes or washing the bedding and doing all the the work. But the people you see, if you only give them money, then it takes it out of the pockets of the people who helping them do it. You know, like the housekeeper can't go back there and wash all the bedding by himself and then put it on your stuff. You know, there's a lot more people involved than just what you see.
Or even something like maintenance people that keep the ship clean, pick up the trash, and especially like cups that are left everywhere and trays.
Exactly, and you would never, if you saw that, if you didn't see the work of those people, like if you just saw trash everywhere, you probably wouldn't tip anybody. You'd be like the people the last night of the cruise, right? Just trying go waiting there to take off their gratuities.
Yes, and hopefully you're not people that do that, because these workers, like, they rely on those tips, just to make a living. Yes, I understand that they live on these ships, and they're honestly probably not paid that much, so they really need these gratuities paid. Me personally, I just like to prepay gratuities, and there are certain people that I do like to tip more. So like the housekeepers, I always leave like a 20 on the bed. Depending, or if it's multiple people, we all each leave a 20. The wait staff does a phenomenal job, and of course the bartenders, especially if you don't get the drink package and you have to sign the receipt. Usually I leave a couple bucks. So yes, I do agree that prepaying is probably the best way to go, because it makes sure that everyone gets paid. And then for certain people that you do like, or you that do go above and beyond, that you would see, you'll give them a little extra something as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But like I said, me personally, prepaid gratuities.
It keeps things nice and simple. It's kind of like your status on the cruise line. So another question is, should you chase status on a cruise line, Jesse?
So I've looked at all the different cruise lines and their status, and I think we did talk about this. It was quite a few episodes ago, but we talked about how I felt like Royal Caribbean's got the best status. But honestly, when you chase status, I feel like that it makes some decisions that you wouldn't normally do. Like what I mean is, like, if you want to go to this destination, but you say, hey, but it's on a different cruise line, you're like, it's going to hold you back from going and seeing that destination because you want to chase status on another. Or same with saving money. Like, you're like, oh, I'll go to Royal Caribbean. It has the same destinations, but I'm gonna go Carnival because it's cheaper, and I got my status there. And so I don't know, because I feel like that's not worth chasing status in the long run.
I would agree, especially because, like you said, you went to MSC and you had an incredible experience. So you're able to go to, similar ports, and I believe ports that you haven't been to as well. And it gives you a chance to try something new. Now, if you go on Carnival ship, I'd say 90% of the ship is the same as most other Carnival ships. Now, I understand the Jubilee is much bigger than the Glory or the Breeze, but Carnival is going to have the same things for the most part. Some will have a sports bar, some won't. Some will be able to, you know, they all have an event venue, they all have a casino, they all have an arcade, they all have a Lido deck and a pool. So chasing status could prevent you from exploring new ships and new destinations. So I would agree with that. Yeah. Now, how about the people on the ship? Are they packed with people besides the first day?
Yeah, exactly. If you just see one vision of a cruise ship, and you walk on a cruise ship the first day and say, "Is this going to be the whole cruise?" You would not like the cruise if it was like that every single day, on embarkation day. Because honestly, no. It depends on the ship too. Like, I know, like the XL on Carnival in MSC, there's multiple, especially Carnival, because they put the food venues around the ship. They put the bars around the ship, so it kind of disperses the people throughout the ships. Yeah, there are going to be certain areas that may be more packed, like
Try going to the comedy club at night. Like, that thing gets packed like an hour before.
And like the first night of the piano bar too, it is crazy. All the people singing
Sweet Caroline, bum bum bum. No copyright there. But yes, I mean, yeah, the bars, the casinos, those are going to be the most packed, like the first night of the ship, because that's when people like, I want to drink, I want to party, and especially on sale days, like there's kind of not much else to do, so they're going to be in the buffets. They're going to be, dining is always going to be crowded, but it's well dispersed, especially if you have like anytime dining, or should you have early dining or late dining, anytime you could kind of helps those as well. So I would say don't let the first day or the sail away party, fool you into thinking like this cruise ship is massive. It's gonna be people to people. Like, cruises are good at dispersing people.
And then, yeah, like you said, like the Lido deck, on Carnival, yeah, it gets packed sometimes with the big parties and stuff like that. But honestly, the big parties kind of make it fun when you got a bunch of people like that. And if you don't want to, if you're not that type of vibe, or sometimes I'm not like that's not my vibe. Sometimes I just hang out in the tides pool or whatever the back of the ship is.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of sad that when we went on the Glory, we didn't get to see the sail away party because of the weather.
Yeah, they literally just canceled it on that cruise. That was crazy.
Yeah, they didn't have like a celebration in the lobby or anything. They're like, nope, we're not going to happen.
I know typically every ship I've had that had rain, they would go to like the atrium, and that's where the sail away party. But they just said sail away party canceled, and that's it.
And it's probably because it was a 3-day cruise. Like, we're not going to entertain. You'll find some sort of entertainment somewhere else. So kind of just a bonus question I'm throwing out there. With the World Cup going on, we've watched sporting events on cruise ships. There's most of the bars only have ESPN or Fox. So do you enjoy watching sports on a cruise ship, or seeing it on the main TV as well?
Yeah, definitely. I know like when we were in Port Canaveral, then we saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were on the
They
big
were.
screen.
Yes,
right?
they were, because that's technically the closest team to Cape Canaveral. So I had my Guy's burger and I was sitting in the lounge chair watching. And fun fact, that was the only sunny day on that whole cruise ship, and it was too hot to be out there. I wasn't out there long.
I definitely see one reason I do like the Carnival Jubilee and all the XL class ship is that in the back of the ship they have by Pigs and Anchor they have a Heroes Tribute Lounge, which is kind of like the sports bar there. They have TVs of all the big games. I remember, man, I think the one of the salons I was on, it was Alabama was there, and they had so many Alabama fans. I was surprised how many Alabama fans were coming out of Galveston. And
that's what happens when you have a dynasty. You have a lot of, quote, Alabama fans coming out of the woodwork.
But yeah, I definitely think. I mean, you do you when you're on a cruise ship. You don't have to worry about driving. If you want to watch sports, me personally, I'm not a huge sports guy. I will watch Astros if it's like playoffs or World Series time or something like that. But I mean, it's definitely fun to watch sports.
Yeah, if you're a football fan, they're going to have most. I mean, if you go to any of the sports bars, they have a whole list of TVs of, what time the games come on. They are very busy. There's TVs in the casino with a bunch of different sports on. We went on the summertime one time, so the NBA finals and, Stanley Cup finals were both on. So, we were able to catch those as well. So there is plenty of stuff to, watch. If you're a sports fan, you could definitely not miss games at the bar, especially if they're big magnitude games. Now, let's talk about medication. So does it need to be in the original container in order to bring it, or can you bring like a little pill pack? Or what is, not just Carnival, but other sailings rules about that?
So Carnival, they really don't have a big thing. If you're bringing a lot of a medication, I would, especially if it's a controlled medication, I would recommend putting it in the original container. But typically, if it's just like small quantities, just enough to get you through that selling, which I recommend first off, have a little bit more than what you expect, because you never know if you get caught like an extra couple days because of weather or anything like that. But they don't really, none of them really require it. You can put it in, like we have a little, it's called pocket pharmacy. It's like a mini. I know you've taken stuff out of it.
Yeah,
before.
I've had Advil, I've had Dramamine,
like Tums before.
Oh my goodness! Like, yeah, your wife definitely has. She's like a mini pharmaceutical. She could sell that on the side and on cruise ships.
Yeah, but you don't have to have an original. This is actually one of the most popular questions that we've gotten that I've actually seen in Facebook groups too. Is do they need to be in original containers? No, you don't have any immigration officer checking and asking, what pill this is. So yeah, as long as it's not large quantities, you should be fine.
Another question we see. So, what kind of luggage do you bring? Hard shell or soft shell? Now, I don't think neither are necessarily wrong options, but for me, if you're going to do hard shell, make sure it's not cheap hard shell, because those things do get thrown around. If you have a cheap shell, that thing will get cracked very easily.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I see it because not all hard shells are the same. There's some hard shells that because let's be honest, these people aren't gently putting your stuff on board. So get good quality hard shell that's gonna not crack when it gets hit. I definitely prefer hard shell over soft shell, because first off, you never know if it's gonna rain, and just from going from where you drop off your luggage to the ship, it can definitely get torrential downpours on your luggage. So it's probably a lot better if you get hard shell. The cruise lines, none of them actually require it. They say that it can only be a certain size, but pretty much the biggest size that you can get, they do allow for most part.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like an airline where if it doesn't fit into the container, like
Yeah,
they're gonna charge you extra for it because they
yeah.
accommodate like the weight of passengers in the ships and they'll be fine. So
And also, like you don't. That kind of another question is like you don't have to buy travel size. A lot of people think they can get like travel size shampoo or travel size Listerine. You don't have to buy those getting on the ship. Yeah, you may have to buy those on your flight to, you know, to the destination, but on the cruise ship, you can get the biggest shampoo bottles, the biggest mouthwash, biggest
well, the mouthwash, that's how you sneak your alcohol on. You just paint it green.
yeah,
Don't
yes.
do that because then we'll get caught. But
And
we're
then
warning you
and
for
then
that.
people will be like, "Oh, we heard on Lido Loop you can do this."
No, we're the other podcast. Yeah, not the Lido Loop. That's not us. So speaking of stuff to bring on the ship, how about stuff to buy on the ship? What is a waste of money on a cruise ship? You and I are in agreement on photos, just because I just think that's kind of a dated thing with cameras as well. What would you say is another thing that could be a waste of money on a cruise ship?
So it depends on what some people send. Some if you don't drink a lot, the drink package is not worth it. It's a waste of money. Me personally, I don't honestly. I ain't gonna lie. I don't really drink like a crazy amount. When I'm on vacation, I definitely drink more than I would at home. But hey, you're on vacation. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think you've ever hit your 15 drink minimum
there was
or
one
maximum.
day.
Excuse
There
me.
was one day that was on Jubilee, and let's say I didn't remember hitting the 15
Yeah. You're the one who got escorted, from the casino. You're the one hit fast spinning,
Exactly, that was me. It wasn't Maddie.
and they locked your door.
No, but yeah, it depends on like you said. A lot of people, I know you may think Jack like the Cheers package because you didn't feel like that it was worth it to you, so you bought just a 12 pack. That's kind of like you can save money that way. And actually, a lot of people don't realize if you do bring a 12 pack, if you stop at a destination, they do allow you to bring another one on board. So if it's a long sailing, you can have. That's how you get multiple 12 packs.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're also allowed to bring a Dr. Pepper to dinner, and they can give you a cup and you just pour it in.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing holding you back, that's nice that Carnival does that. You can also have, I think it's up to 750 milliliter wine. So if you don't drink a lot and you want a bottle of wine, you can do that too. So Jack, what do you think are some waste of money on cruise ships?
To me, there's two. I would say the spa, particularly because I just don't really use it.
And plus, I mean, yeah, exactly. I agree. Is like, especially them trying to upsell you on every single thing, and then, of course, in Cozumel, you get way cheaper of this, like a 30-minute massage for like $30. You know,
I would also say, yeah, I would completely agree with you. And, if you're a type of person that wants to go to a spa and have that kind of luxury, maybe Carnival's not the best idea for you. If you have that kind of budget, maybe go with a nicer cruise line that gives you a more enhanced spa experience, or you even save your money on land. I would say the other thing, this one's kind of a hot take, but the gift shop. I would say that, most of the clothing is, they do have some clearance stuff, and I can't remember the last time I actually bought a cruise shirt, but they do have like the $15 like t-shirts that say the cruise ship's name and stuff like that. And also, if you want to get souvenirs, I would say go to the port, especially if you're in Cozumel. They have,
yeah, everything's so cheap. You're right.
yeah, I mean, I bought they have any kind of sports teams in there. Like I bought the Cowboys backpack and an Astros cup for like $3 and $20 for the backpack.
Just don't get the name like they gave me, Cheapo Gringo,
Tripo Gringo.
by trying to talk them out. Talk down on price.
Yeah, the sticker was $1, and you're saying, do you take 50 cents?
Hey, that's 50 more cents I can spend at the casino.
Oh yeah, that's a 50-cent spin on any kind of Dragon Link, not Buffalo because that's 60 cents. But, yeah, it shows how much I gamble. But another thing, of course, gambling on the cruise, I wouldn't say is a ripoff. It just depends on how much money you want to spend.
It's only a ripoff if you lose.
That is true.
Which I always went.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that works out. Like in any kind of gambling trip you go on, one of your friends is going to walk away with something, except that one time we went to Lake Charles, which, maybe we could do a breakdown of the Lake Charles casinos here on the Lido Loop.
And there's one other. What do you feel? How do you feel about the games that you play on the ship, like bingo and
Rip off? Don't do it.
Especially bingo.
No, bingo is the
Tell us the story about that.
So this was, I believe it was it was the Breeze. me, your brother, and of course Maddie. It was her idea, the gambling addict she was.
Go figure.
But we all went to play bingo. You only get 3 games, number one. It's not like a bingo hall where you get like 9+ games and pull tabs. Each dauber, I believe, was about $5. And come to think of it, you could probably just share a dauber. So we ended up spending about $35 a person for 3 games of bingo, and then the prizes weren't even that great. One was a free drink package, and some was a free Wi-Fi package. I think the grand prize was like maybe $500. So all that money they spent of people, getting this, they only gave $500 back and 2 things that they could give out for free.
And then like someone went in like they called it like 7 times they won.
Yes, that was the final game. They called 7 numbers and someone yelled bingo. We looked at each other like, there's no way this person actually just won. Sure enough, they had a good bingo. So it was a waste of money, time. I wish I would have just like put that $40 in Buffalo instead and had a better time that way.
Yeah, I know we did play on Jubilee, deal or no deal. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was fun playing the game. We actually did win. I think we paid, $60 or $75 or something like that to play. We ended up getting, I think, $25 or $30 in casino credit. So we were forced to gamble.
Yeah,
Go figure.
Darn.
I hate when I'm forced to gamble.
Don't tell Maddie. I mean, she'll be playing deal or no deal for a whole lot more. But yeah, I would say that certain like games that you have to have an upcharge to play, I don't think they're necessarily worth it unless you just don't have anything else to do. And I guess kind of a last thing to put a bow on it would be shows you have to pay for. That doesn't really apply to Carnival, but how Norwegian Cruise Line was unveiling that you might have to pay for certain Cirque du Soleil shows.
Oh yeah, and Norwegian Luna.
Yeah, that's. I would say like if you have to pay for a show, it can't be worth it. But that'll do it for this week's episode of the Lido Loop. As always, you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. We have a Facebook page. Now, I have heard criticism of me putting too much theme park news on there. I will do my best to do cruise and theme park news on there as well.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. And of course, you can always find us on the YouTube channel. We are the Lido Loop. I'm Jack. That's Jesse, and we will see you
on the Lido deck
or at the casino using those free credits.
Thank you for watching this episode of Lido Loop. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're notified every time we post more content.